Cool. I'll
No
send
issue.
it to you after.
So you had your own
Yes.
like agency before joining Polyform,
Yeah.
web agents, website development.
Yeah. But, and like, I loved it. Like web development is definitely my passion. And like technical is definitely my passion, but I had never worked as part of a team, and I was already working with Polyform as a contractor and doing their websites. And it was just like, and like the culture, the click that we had between one another was so good, that I ended up joining the leadership team full time, which was amazing. It was such an exciting opportunity. And like, you'll get to know everybody. Like, it's the best team that I've ever come
Yeah,
across. So
that's what I'm starting to understand, because I mean, I also have my entrepreneurial spirit and my willingness to put in the work, but then like, so Adam made this like welcome to the team call, the 101, and then he went through the slides that you guys went through yesterday, I believe, like what's
the
next for
town
the
hall.
company, town
Yeah,
hall, and then I'm like, oh man, this is really good. So I really understand where you're coming from.
good. I think, and honestly, like the call that we had, you, myself, Mike, and Connor, like the three of us came away from that call, and we really honestly do not feel this way about everybody. Like, we only hire the best of the best, because it's like inviting them into such a tight group. And you were an immediate yes from all of us. The only like holdup was we didn't
Yeah.
actually have a position at the time. And so we talked so much about making you one, but it just didn't work out. And then Layla, who I'm sure you have heard of, was our previous PM, left us rather suddenly before Christmas. And so it was like an immediate, like we knew exactly who we were going to call. So we're very
Amazing.
happy to have you.
Hey, I am ready. I am ready.
Good.
The clients, I mean, everything that is Web3 related, I have so much experience already. So like
Good.
Adam already told me, goal is for me to like be a dedicated account manager, PM for what's it called, by the way? This
There's
Web3
Telus and Nifty's will be here
Nifty's.
to start with.
Nifty's.
Yeah. Nifty's, and if
So
your background is in Web3, you're a perfect fit. You and Josh will love each other.
yeah, I'm so excited. So I want to grow this account and I want to make it my baby because I need to fulfill that, I need to know that we're
Totally.
making money. So
Okay, where was I? Okay, so I'm going to introduce you into our current systems and tell you some gaps that we have that we would love your help filling. So the background on our project management system is, you know what, we didn't really have one. So that is changing. We used to manage our projects in Notion, which I think you should have got an invite to Notion. I would say don't pay a ton of attention to what is in Notion. There might be like some documents or stuff in there. As of January 1, we've moved over to Asana. Do you have experience with Asana? I feel like it's pretty.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's a lot of stuff in Notion. That's where we used to project manage all of our projects. But what we found from just like a high level is that Notion is almost like too fluid to be useful. Every project was having like a different format. There was no standardization, and it would lead to people not knowing where to find things, people not knowing how to use it. And then basically towards the end, no one was really reading tickets or following them. And it just made lives harder overall, which is obviously not what we're here to do. So we moved everything to Asana. So over the last 2 months, Louie and I, as well as Layla before she left, we did like all this research into different project management tools. Like we looked at Monday.com, ClickUp, all these kinds of things. Settled on Asana, which I would say was the obvious choice from the beginning, just because it's basic enough but complex enough to be what we need. So we have most everything in there now. So that being said, I will walk you through what we have set up in there right now. And the caveat being that there is nothing in there for Telus and there's nothing in there for Nifty's right now. So those are two things that I need you to champion, because it doesn't make sense for Louie and I to get involved in those projects. Nifty's is running. and it runs until March, which I think you should hopefully know that. I don't know. I don't know what Adam has told you. So if I'm repeating anything, forgive me.
All good.
So, okay, so I'm going to share my screen, very roughly show you. And just so you know, actually, let me find something else. Next Wednesday, we are going to be hosting, sorry, hold on a second. We're going to be hosting a training session for our Asana setup for everybody. So there will be a lot of stuff in there. I'll share that presentation with you ahead of time so that you can see it and like know ahead of time what I'm talking about. There's also not everything in there because a lot of it is for PMs only, right? Like we don't need everybody knowing every little detail. They just need to know how to do their tasks and check stuff off and all that kind of good stuff.
That's cool.
And
so
also there's nothing.
Basically, you created the process, you streamlined the process for PMing with Asana?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, so like you said, it's so nice that there's like entrepreneurial things. So not all of our projects fit into one template. Like if we were just a development agency or design agency, which we do have, we have those templates set up. But Nifty's and TELUS, fun for you, don't fit into those templates. So these will be custom things. They have custom needs that I know that you'll be able to sort out. I'll kind of walk you through what our guidelines are. And also keep in mind, all of this is super fluid. Like we want your input, we value your input on all of this. Like Louie and I have created this in a vacuum with the two of us. We've asked the guys for feedback, but up till this point, not many eyes have been on it. So any feedback or ideas, don't feel like you need to like only stick to what we have. The only important thing is that we build together. So that if you're like, hey, like I think this field would be super useful, then all of us are using that field so that it's not just like a one-off, because I think that that was one of the issues previously, was that everyone kind of started project managing in their own way. And then by the time we looked back, everyone was like completely different and didn't make sense and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to pull up presentation and then I'll just share this. I'll share my screen and we can just quickly look at Asana. Again, there's nothing revolutionary in here, but just so you can see it.
Alrighty. Yeah, I was taking a look at that one, the project management team.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you're in here. So basic setup, projects, or teams, and then projects. I invited you to the project management team. I'll also invite you to Studio. Nifty's is in here. What I did with Nifty's, because I had this ahead of time, the one board, I would say you can look at it and I'll send you the link. There was a board created for Nifty's in Notion. It was never used once. So I would say there's information in there that could be useful to you. I've copied the first sprint over. Like you can see these dates, it's completely out of date. In case it was useful for you, feel free to delete it all.
Wait a second, can I join this board?
Yeah, here, let me add you right now.
Okay.
So this is the studio board. So this will be so any projects that we have in studio will come under here. So this is where TELUS would live as well, whenever you create that one. I won't create it because I'll leave it up to you to structure. But yeah, so here is current.
Okay, that's the one we're gonna take a look at.
So this is the template for a basic studio project. So our standard projects are 3 months, 6 sprints. So this is a template that is being made. That's why it's still kind of active and says template. But in order to use a template, which is kind of getting into more details that we'll go over in that. We also have a weekly project management call every Tuesday. I'll invite you to that. Nice. So basically, if you had a new studio project come up that you needed to use, like you needed to create a board for, hit the plus sign, use a template, and then when that studio template is done, it will be here, and you just click that, and it'll copy over all the tasks, everything. So that's easy. But again, nice. Nifty's and TELUS don't follow a template, so it's a little bit more challenging. And I do have like a couple to-dos for you there that will help you. So for example, when we look at project management as a whole, the one I would say addition that we made to Asana that is super important to our process and what we're really relying on the team to use, and I think this will be super obvious to you, but is we created a custom status field that allows us to choose between these 8 statuses to just basically give information. So these are what you will be using mostly. And then this is something that is in our presentation that we're sharing next week. But again, I'll share this with you early. Oh, is this really small for you? Let me play that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So here's a breakdown of the statuses, who uses them. Basically, there's the separation between project managers, you, and designers, creators, and assignees. So that's like our graphic designers, our video guy, community manager, whoever you're assigning tasks to. So this will be a really useful slide for you to take a look at, and again, provide feedback on. We're all ears about it.
Cool.
But when comparing all of our different projects, these are the 8 that we kind of distill down. That because one thing that's super important is that this needs to be usable for everybody, and all of our projects can be so different. That was probably one of the biggest challenges, is how do you create a system that serves everybody doing completely different jobs? Like, we're not just a development agency. Sometimes we create products, or sometimes we create other businesses. So these are the statuses that we found work best, and here will be your breakdown on how to use them. And then our general directive for everybody in Asana, which goes for us as well, is that you should be able to look at your My Tasks every morning, and it should be an automatic to-do list of your most important things. So that's kind of the goal, is like you log in the morning and you can see, oh, this designer reassigned this to me, Louis reassigned this to me, they're ready for me to send to the client, whatever it might be. But this should be like an automatic assign, and that comes back to assignees, right? Like people, a designer has said, hey, Carlos, this is ready for review. This gets reassigned to you, and now you know that.
Okay,
so super
due
basic
date,
stuff.
the project, the status.
Yeah.
And then this is like recently assigned to you. So for instance,
Yeah.
Juna updates, she's a dev or a designer, and then
Yeah, this is for,
ready
these
for
are all
review.
dev.
So you
Yeah,
go ahead and
exactly.
do QA for something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is a website we made changes to. So I pushed it to ready for review because I've sent it to, actually probably change it to in review now that I think about it. I've sent that to the
Cool.
client. We're just waiting to hear back from him.
Okay. So client, in this case, client is doing the QA, or did you QA it before send it?
Yeah, we QA our dev. So basically these were small updates. So he wanted to hide a share button. So hit it, send it to him. But yeah, super simple. Oh, like this one. I sent this invite to you this morning. So there you go. Done.
Killed.
So yeah, this will continue to develop. Like it's not finished by any means. But we want you to be part of that, not just like acting in the system, but to help us create the system. Yeah. And again, we meet every Tuesday. Asana will probably be the main thing that we meet about every Tuesday. Our Tuesday meetings are meant to be not a check-in by any means on projects, but a place for us to rely on each other as project managers. So if you have a project falling behind and you're like, hey, like this one developer is just not delivering, I don't really know why. Like, what do you guys think? Like that is what the meeting is useful for. Cool. And just make sure everything's running smoothly. And, we're our own little department. So we should be able to like help each other, come up with new ideas, see what works, what doesn't, talk about all of it.
Yep.
What else can I tell you about Asana right now? I'll send this to you, like I said, and there's a bunch of stuff in here. This also isn't even done, but there's a lot of stuff in here that will just like help you see our thinking and just like the general structure.
I think I'm gonna need that presentation.
Yeah, actually, let me share this with you right now.
And I should definitely do a little bit of a onboarding Asana tutorial on YouTube.
I was
Get
going
up
to
to
say,
speed.
if they're, I think you'll have time in the next little bit because I think Nifty's is running and you can jump in there right away by connecting with the team. Hellas is kind of just in the very beginning stages. I don't think a discovery call has been booked or anything. So you can expect to be included in those calls once they start happening. One thing I will share with you is that because our project management systems kind of faded away into Notion like confusion, there will be times where you really have to champion project management, which obviously as project managers, we all know and love to do, and we're used to following up with people. So don't be scared to, especially when it comes to, I think sometimes our old PM Layla, for example, I think sometimes she felt like a little bit uncomfortable following up with people, especially when it came to like Adam or like leadership team members. Which I'm not sure why everyone's super approachable and like there's absolutely no reason to feel that way. But I mean, it can be intimidating. So,
Yeah.
but it's important that you take ownership of your projects. And the purpose of Asana is so that we can make sure that if anything happened to anyone personal on the team, or if there was a big change, everyone knows about it right away. And it should be like right now, for example, there are past projects where if a designer had to leave or if something had happened, no one would have known at all what was going on with those things. And so that's what we're trying to avoid. So maximum communication, writing comments and tickets, like all of that kind of stuff. Like we want Asana to be our like go-to guide. The general guiding principle that I use when it comes to tickets is it should be like talking on the phone. That's kind of what I tell people is like, you've assigned me a web dev project. I finish it. I don't just assign it back to you. I'm like, hey, Carlos, this is done. Let me know your thoughts. PS, pay extra attention to XYZ because I changed them for this reason. So that's kind of the mindset that I always have.
Nice.
But yes, I would say find some stuff on Asana if it's useful to you. I'm also happy to have another like Asana based call with you and just like, again, we're not doing anything crazy in Asana. We're using like a few automations, but we've kept it as simple as possible because this is brand new. And we want to make sure that like everyone feels good with a baseline before we start getting too crazy. So it's a good time for you to be joining.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm happy to walk you through everything. Like even if you get in there and like start looking at stuff and you're like, you know what? I feel like we should talk about it again. Just always feel free to get a hold of me. Like I'm happy to just chat stuff out, even if it's like a quick call, quick question. Super happy to talk about it with you.
For sure. Alrighty. So, okay. So next steps are, I'm going to go through your presentation.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna, yeah, walk around Asana. So there's team project management.
There's teams. Yeah. So you should be on, I believe right now you're just on the project management team and the studio team. So those should be your two.
So this is you, me, and Luis Madrigal.
On project management, yeah.
Okay, so 2 PMs and you?
Yeah.
Or is there somebody else?
No, just the three of us.
Alrighty, cool. So I'm gonna have a one-on-one with my fellow PM.
Exactly.
And then this is Zombieland. So sprint one, just like this is all stuff that happened already, or
You know what? I believe this is how, so I was not involved in this project. I just tried to build this ahead so you had a little bit of context as to what might be included. So I believe from what I know, the project was pushed back, which is why these dates are so old. And I think it was extended. So what I have a note to pass on to you is for Nifty's to reach out to three of the guys, Mike, Josh, and Adam, to set up a meeting for an intro to the project. So yeah, you met Mike in our call. So he's head of design. Josh is our community manager. He manages Discord he did manage Discord for us we no longer have Discord, and he also manages Discord for Nifty's, which is the overarching client. So Nifty's is an NFT agency, is the best way I can describe it with my little knowledge. And we are helping them with this particular project, which is Zombieland.
So just an onboarding call. I'm gonna talk to Adam about it.
Yeah, Mike, Josh, and Adam. So there should be a call set up with the 4 of you, just as an intro to the project.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And then cool. And then separately, to set up a call with Josh independently afterwards, because you and Josh will work very closely on that project together. And he is the one currently managing tasks for the project, not in Asana because it didn't exist. He hasn't been onboarded to Asana. The other context I can give you about the project is that, did Adam mention anything about Phenomenon to you?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool. So Phenomenon is also working on that project. So one of our goals with Asana right now, there's kind of a separation between our project management and Phenomenon's. Like they just like manage and everything goes great. We never have a problem. Things just like happen, but we have like no visibility into their tasks or what's being worked on. It always just works out. They've never let us down, which is amazing. But we would like more visibility just so we can communicate better. We can PM better so we can understand what's happening. So at some point, I believe they might use, actually, I don't know what they use, to be honest, but we want to bring them into our Asana.
Cool, for sure. Yeah.
So they have not been invited to it yet, but whenever Nifty is set up, they should also be in there, and they should be able to check out tasks and whatever they might be doing. So that's the information I have for you on those 2 projects. I would say feel free to take ownership, like reach out to those 3 guys, tell them you want to set up that intro call. In terms of TELUS, I would also follow up with Adam semi-regularly, or just like get an idea of kickoff, discovery, how you can be included, all of that kind of stuff. I only said it because Adam is so busy right now. I'm sure we both know, like when you get more busy, it's harder to ask for help. So I would just feel free to take ownership, get a hold of him, make sure that he knows that you're ready and you want to be included in every call.
So wait a second. Discovery call for what's the project name again?
TELUS.
Yeah, what's that one?
So TELUS, so there's 2 projects. So Nifty's is one of them, and TELUS is your second one. So TELUS is a really, really cool project. TELUS is a telecom company here in Canada. I always forget that they're only Canadian, so that's why I keep saying the name. It's like TELUS in Canada is like Coca-Cola. Like it's just like a massive brand. And so a major part of TELUS's branding for years, like since I can remember being little, has been all of their ads. Here, I'll see if I can find one. All of their ads feature really cute zoo animals. Let me show you a picture. And like super well done. Their brand is amazing here. So like always have like cute animals. So they do like cell phones, internet, all that kind of stuff. So we have just kicked off a really big project with them, which will be huge for us. This is basically one of the cornerstone pieces of why we brought you on so quickly, because we know that you can handle a project of this kind of magnitude. So we do a lot of work in AR as well, which is why this one doesn't really fit into the mold of like a typical studio project. And when I say typical studio project, I mean like an app design, because that's standard for us. That's like systemized. We know exactly how to do that. We build apps all the time. But then we do really cool stuff like this. So this is an AR project where you'll be able to go into a TELUS store, because they have stores where you go to pay for your phone and all that kind of stuff. And they'll have a giant screen, and you'll be able to interact live with the animal on that screen.
Wow.
Yeah, super cool. And then there will also be like a take home component on your phone where you can like make the panda dance around in your living room or whatever it is. Um, but so it
Wow.
is going to be, it's AR and hardware based. So we're making the recommendations on hardware for them as well. And like what systems to use, like they basically just come to us with this idea and we're going to execute it. Um, and it's very like it just started. I think we signed the contract on like December 29th, or we signed the contract earlier, but it like actually was greenlit like December 29th. So like very, very fresh. Um, that's why there's not a ton of details on it because I think the approach still needs to be determined. Um,
Uh-huh.
which is where you'll be very handy to the team, I'm sure.
That's cool. Oh my God.
It's
Alrighty.
really cool. It's really cool. This is like one of the big fish that you hope to get when you create an agency, especially in
Mhm.
Canada because it's a Canadian brand. So this is like a very big deal. Um, so yeah, this is really cool. So those are your two
And
projects is Nifty's and then Tellus.
yeah, that setup for me is literally perfect. That's
Right.
literally my dream PM configuration right there. Like a whale project and like an account that I can grow over time. Yeah.
And like Web3 sounds like you're super interested in them. And it's just a perfect fit. And then like our goal is to only have a PM ever working on like max 4 projects.
Mhm.
Um, obviously taking into account the size of each project, like you wouldn't do 4 Telluses at the same time because that would be too much. But when it comes to stuff like apps or like a standard studio sprint, those are based like we've got those down pat. We usually work with Phenomenon on them. I'd say 9 times out of 10 we work with Phenomenon, and like they have their own project manager and like it just runs like it's so
Smooth.
dialed. Yeah. So like that's just like clicking off tickets, checking with the client every week, making sure the deck's made, like easy, easy.
Amazing.
Um, yeah. I would say one um thing I would try to do, and this is again, I don't PM projects, I just oversee PM, um, is advice I would give is to set up internal calls for each of your projects. With the internal team, there tends to be a focus on client calls, which obviously are super important. But then sometimes there's like a downturn in internal communication, which I think introducing Asana will be super helpful with. Um, but I like face-to-face touch points. I think that's the easiest. I think it's the easiest way to check up to be like, hey Josh, did you send out those social media posts or what's going on with those NFTs we are supposed to deliver? Um, so that would be something that I would try to add into your system when it comes to those internal teams. What else can I tell you? That's it off the top of my head for
Yeah.
Asana. Oh, actually, I'm going to show you one more thing.
Mhm.
Just to give you, this will also be included in the presentation, I'm sure, but we haven't added it in there yet. So I'm just going to give you, this is like an overarching view of how we determined what boards to create.
Nice.
Okay, um, so in terms of templates, our goal or what we're working towards is having them fall into 3 categories. One is organized by status. I'll zoom in on this a little bit. Organized by status. So this is really good, for example, with our cannabis projects. It's a retainer, like our main client is a retainer. And there's tons of tasks, like all these different design tasks. Like there's so many that are like firing back and forth every day. So when it comes to, and Louis manages those. So when it comes to that board, for Louis and for most retainer tasks, it's easiest for them to be organized by status. And so when I say organized by status, I mean like this. So basically there's like in progress, interview, completed, as opposed to it being one giant list, right? So that way Louis can open this, he can see all the ones that are in progress, he gets a very quick understanding. So that's
Oh,
one.
so wait a second. So you set up Asana to
So there's,
display this
yes,
list.
so there's 3
Okay.
different board types. So the studio, for example, is by Sprint,
Mhm.
and the cannabis, for example, will be by Status.
Of course,
So
because this is waterfall. That this is how Asana displays it. Of course.
exactly. So, and then the third one, which we added in just as a catch-all, is organized by category. So a great example of this one, and this is, again, not rocket science, but we're just trying to make it so easy for everybody. For example, transitioning to Asana, we just made like the kickoff tasks, the general tasks, very basic. So those are the 3 board types that we're going to communicate to everybody. Like, if you need a new board created or you're creating a new board, where do you start? You're going to decide, is it a retainer project that should be organized by status? That's one template. Is it a standard project where it's organized by date? That's easy. Is it organized by category? And this is a great question for you when it comes to Nifty's and Tellus, right? Like, once you learn about those projects, which one is the right one? Like Nifty's, the previous board was organized by Sprint, obviously, which we saw. But once you learn more about it, maybe you're like, you know what? It's better for it to be organized by status.
Categories.
Yeah, or
Sorry.
categories. Maybe like phenomenon is one category and community management is a category.
Mhm.
So that'll be like one of the questions you can ask. And then super basic, we just added in like, okay, you've chosen a template. What are your next steps? Like for organized by status, Louis set up automations for that one. So that based on if it's in review, if it needs to be reviewed, it will assign it to the appropriate person based on who's executing those tasks.
Nice.
So that one I would say is like the least utilized, because we don't have a lot of retainer clients. Most of ours are set timelines. I would say most of them will fall under these 2 categories. So even I would say Sprint is probably the most common, just because I'm sure you're like us, we're like just organizing things by the date that they need to be done by is usually the most important. So yeah, making sure.
Can you share with me this one, this Figma board,
Yeah,
please?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff in here. Feel free to read around. It was just, this was like our brainstorming document when we came up with
Nice.
like where we worked with everything for Asana. And again, feel free to ask any questions about anything you see in there if it like helps you add clarity or anything like that. Cool. Okay, so that's great. And when it comes to writing individual tickets, I completely trust you. I know that the tickets are not a new concept. Adding details, adding the files that you need, like those are the things that we're looking for. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, you don't necessarily look for a specific type of template. Like, this is not a software type of corporation. We're looking for
Looking for the most,
logistical.
yeah, like
type of
the
approach.
most useful information. And when it comes to, as we build this out more, for example, like studio projects, like when you're designing an app, there's the same steps in every single app. So when it comes to some of these, like the competitive analysis, this is a template because that way you don't have to write, like maybe for Nifty's, you're going to do a competitive analysis. Maybe for Tellus, you're going to do a competitive analysis. And this ticket is a template, which I can show you how to use later. Just so you don't need to write a competitive analysis template ticket every time. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So we have templates for tickets, and then we have templates for entire projects.
Okay.
And if like
next call, we can go through those templates, because
yeah,
I want to make sure I understand how you do it, because I feel
totally,
like it's gonna be the best way.
That's the thing. And like I said, very information heavy. By no means do I expect for you to like fully understand this from this one call. Or even like in the next couple weeks, like we're gonna learn together. So don't ever feel like you need to know everything. Cool. Okay, so that
Asana is
I'll
such
leave you
a
with that.
beautiful platform.
It's
Let's
so
be
great.
honest.
I know. And once everyone's using it like fully, it will just make everyone's lives so much easier. So
and
much easier.
happier
Even
too.
happier. It's so much better. You know,
fresh.
the first project we had in there was your onboarding, and it worked like a dream. You got sent all the invites you needed. Everyone got alerted. Mike set up your email, so I got an alert to add you to stuff. Like, it was a dream. It just made it so easy. Whereas like for past employees, it's like, oh my God, have you sent that one thing? Has anybody sent that one thing? We don't know who's supposed to send it. Like this is the future.
Nice. I love it.
Okay, and then
Alrighty.
so the other piece I'm going to share with you is a separate platform we use. Asana, project management focused. That is your bread and butter. But company based, we use an internal dashboard that we created. And I will show you what is on here. So this is our internal dashboard. So this is a great resource for you, especially starting out. This has a lot of important information here, both about the company, about links, all kinds of stuff in here. It is also, we probably released this about 6 months ago. It includes videos that Craig uploads and makes. So all of these are like pieces of content that we have done. And this, especially this year, we're putting a new focus on YouTube. So this will continue to grow and be added to. And you'll be able to sort through here. This one might be fun for you. This is all of our team members. I will send you the form to fill out to get you added on here. So this is everybody that works at the company. And then you click on it, picture, tells you about them. You'll be able to get an idea of everybody and what they do.
So what am I looking at right now? Is this some form of like agency SaaS product?
So we built this internally. So this is basically our internal dashboard that we've made just as a resource for our staff. Important one is the book days off. So this is if you're not going to be in the office. Why this is important is because you booking here alerts everybody in the team through their calendar, and also sends important information to you on like how to execute a day off, like the messages you should send, all that kind of stuff. So it's important to book the days off, your days off in here. We also have our vacation guidelines in here, which are very straightforward. It's like set up an automated response, make sure you reschedule your meetings, all that kind of stuff. So there's nothing crazy in there. And then another interesting one for you will be the toolbox. So basically we have a ton of assets and things that we use for projects, as well as like Udemy. We have a ton of courses on Udemy. So like, here's the login for it. Here's the password for it. There might be courses on there you want to see. Like some of our social handles are in here. Our Zapier, if you ever wanted to use Zapier to create automations for somebody. Our Fiverr, if for some reason the guys are like, hey, we need this special type of designer, can you see if you can find someone on Fiverr? This is our Fiverr account. Most useful or very useful to you, here's a link to the Notion if you don't have it already. Again, Notion is being phased out, so don't pay too much attention, but it is there.
Cool.
All of our brand assets for the company are in here, so logos, all that kind of stuff. So I would say, like, make sure your email signature is updated, all that kind of stuff. And then something for studio projects, and maybe for, again, depending on deliverables, project templates. So for your reference, all of our major deliverables, we have a template for those created that our designers should be following. It's like design system, user journey, customer journey map, quick wins. So all of these have different templates. So that's where all of those are.
You know, if there was a like a super admin or like an admin type view to the dashboard where you can like track the finances of the actual agency or like per client budget or something, that's coming, right?
Totally. Yeah. So our next steps are, we're working on personalized KPIs and goal tracking in here. So that is our next step. This is built on Webflow. We chose to build it independently ourselves because we didn't have a ton of extra resources to do it, but we wanted something custom, and B, we knew we could build it fast because we made Webflow is our main platform for web development. So we could build it super quick and execute it quickly, and it's everything we need right now. But there are some limitations. So for example, what you're seeing when you log in is the same thing that everybody sees. So while it is gated, it is not personalized. yet.
Oh,
So that is why. So we're working on the personalization of it where we can each individually have access to different things.
wow. You know, this is a whole business, right, Sam? Like
I know, eh?
we can package it up and sell it to other agency owners too.
Oh my gosh, that's the Phil, who's our sales guy. When we showed him, he's also, his background is in design. He's like, this is unbelievable. He's like, we gotta sell this to people. Of
I
course,
agree.
as a sales guy. So yeah, this is very useful. It will continue to expand. And again, if you have ideas, if you come across like a certain link or folder, you can also add stuff to it down here. Both for the toolbox and for videos, have that add button down here so we can add any new stuff that comes up, like Craig adds videos in here and all that kind of stuff. So, and also submit a bug if you find something wonky in there.
That's so cool.
This is
Whoa.
also, what else is useful is especially for you. So our company books up Canadian holidays. So be sure to look in here. We also always send a message ahead of them. But for example, February 20th, Family Day, pretty sure that's a random Canadian holiday that no one else celebrates. I don't even know what it's for.
Okay.
But like the studio will be closed that day. So these are
Nice.
the list of like studio closure dates for you to know.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to dive into this beauty of a platform you guys built and learned.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's all kinds of stuff in here.
So wait a second, this video library, what's that about? Like tutorials?
The video library.
Or...
So this is all content that we have produced. There's not a lot in here right now, to be honest, but the plan is to expand our video content, I guess. Like one of the new pushes this year is to really expand our YouTube channel from a content perspective. That is Craig's focus. That was why he was hired. So we're going to start we're also working on a podcast, an internal podcast. All the podcasts will be recorded and added in here as well. So basically just an internal resource to see all the content we're producing. Or like, for example, these are old, like they're from 2020, but like Mike dabbled in like YouTube influencer type videos for a while, which are so great and so fun to watch. So we just like included everything. Adam did some really good interviews with something called, these would be really interesting for you to watch actually. It's called My Soul Team. And they interviewed him about Polyform. So he's talking about the work-life balance at Polyform, the company vision, a day in the life of a designer. So these ones would actually be really interesting for you to watch.
Alrighty, for sure.
But yeah, that's our internal dashboard. I know, so much stuff.
But yeah, thank God we recorded it. Please send me the link once
I will send this to you.
Send it to you.
I will send it to you. Any immediate questions? Don't feel pressured to ask every question you need to right
now. Yeah, I guess the most important question right now is in terms of the initial expectations. So for example, like, is there anything specific that you or maybe somebody else that you know and are expecting me to execute, something like should be aware of, like cultural wise, or I don't know?
I would say it's kind of a funny time to start because we specifically lined up a lot of our projects to end at Christmas, and then like starting up a bunch of new projects now, which is nice because we're not coming into the year being like, oh my God, we're so behind on all of these things. It's like a bit of a slow ramp up, which is really nice. So I would say expectations for you from this part are to get involved with Nifty's as much as you can and get that sorted out in Asana. I'm happy, like once you know more about the project, you and I can brainstorm on it. We can talk about the board, we can meet, basically like set meetings with whoever you feel like you need to get the information that you feel like serves you best. So whether that's me to talk about Asana, whether that's maybe Louis to ask him about his project management views or anything like that. We'll meet Louis on our call on Tuesday anyways. But I would say that call with Adam, Josh, and Mike should be top of the list because Nifty's is already going. but really does need a project manager in it, to be honest. I think Adam was project managing it himself, but he doesn't have time for that. It needs somebody. It needs somebody.
Is there a
Yeah,
Nifty's channel?
there should be a Nifty's channel. Let me message and make sure that you're added to those.
Looks like it's private because it's not populating on my search.
Yeah, I can't see it either. I'll send a message and I'll get added. And then just familiarize yourself. Like, don't expect a ton to be happening over the next few days until these projects start to ramp up. Familiarize yourself with Asana. Do a little course if you want to. They have all kinds of little courses. I can send you a few that I did. Because where we need the most help overall is like championing a project management system, pushing it on people when we need to because they're not doing it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm really excited to work with you on that one, especially if we can find a way to automate steps.
Totally. Automation is my dream. I want to sign into Asana, know the exact priority of things. Like, Carlos, you need something quickly changed on a website. I log in the morning. It's right there. It says high priority. I'm like, done. 10 minutes. Yeah. No Slack messages.
I want to figure that out for real. I know Zapier integrates super well with it. And
oh yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we'll take a look.
Yeah. And I think like that's the exciting part is this is just and this is something I often say about Polyform is that while sometimes we might not be the most polished, I think the funnest part is that we're all building this together. There's no one way, there's no right way. It's whatever we all think is best and how to move things forward. So it makes it really inclusive and fun to be a part of, which I love.
And a little bit scary because it's like,
which makes you feel alive.
I agree.
Cool.
Well,
okay, I sent you a few links. If there's anything else you want to see, any questions you have, feel free to lean on me. I love helping people. I'd love to help you learn more about Polyform. So feel free to send me any messages you want. I'll add you
the Asana tutorials that you did. I really want to do those.
I'll see, you know what, I might even see if there's a little course. I also would love to learn more about Asana. Like, I've used it several times. I've never been formally trained. Like, I'm sure that like project tasks or ticket tasks, I just learned that like a week ago. I was like, oh my God, we don't need to type these every single time. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that we all do together.
For sure. For sure. I know Asana has a lot of things in the background that we need to know how to use. The thing is, it's so intuitive. It's so easy to use. You start to manage project and then you're like, okay, I got it. But I know they have some good stuff.
Totally. Even like in the customization of projects, like we're using some, but like, for example, I'll show this to you. These are things we have not dove into yet. So like I just hit the customize button up top and there's the rules, which this is what we're using some of. This is like the automations. Like if this changes to in review, it automatically assigns to Carlos, that kind of thing. Forms, I know, is a really interesting one. So
1 sec, I'm looking at your drive.
Oh shoot, sorry. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so under customize, like rules, this is an interesting one. This is basically like automations for tickets. This is where I think like we'll all get super interested and like really excited about, because we can be like, I don't even need to reassign it to the designer. It just does it on its own. Because those little things matter when you're assigning like 100 tickets or something.
Yeah.
And then forms as well is something we're not using, but I know is super powerful.
Wonder what they mean by forms.
Louis dug into this one because we each kind of like delegated different things. So Louis dug into forms, and basically one of the things we'd also like to avoid is some team members love creating tickets. They love to create tickets and they're just high level, very vague. No one take ownership tickets, like brainstorming session, and then it's not assigned to anybody. So one thing that we're trying to avoid is like the ability for everyone to create tickets or like the need for everyone to create tickets. So Louis said that forms could be powerful in that way because instead of anyone creating a ticket, they'd fill out a form, and if it's not filled out correctly, it will reject it. That's what I understand.
Nice.
So
Nice. Cool.
basically, I think you can do a lot with forms. We haven't looked into it, but like you said, I think there's a lot of power. And we do have the premium version of Asana. So there's even more in there.
All right. Great stuff. Okay.
I will send you this recording. And yeah, any questions about anything, reach out to me, anybody else on the team. We're all here to help you get acquainted with the Polyform way of life.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much for your time, Sam.
Awesome. Thanks, Carlos. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Ciao.